Derek in Ohio. You're live with Eric and V. What would you like to talk about today?
I'm a Christian, and I would just like to know the difference between the witnesses in the Bible and the witnesses in the courtroom, because I tell you, in today's world, prosecutors, make people get found guilty with less evidence, and all they have is witnesses.
Well, actually, let's put that on trial really quick. Derek, let's put that on trial. Let's say you and I are sitting in the courtroom, okay? And it's time to call up the witness. So we call up a witness today in 2020. And we sit them down, we ask them questions. They talk about what they experienced and their point of view on things. We can cross-examine them, right? We have a lot of ways that we can verify and check their claims. We can look for corroborating evidence. So those are fantastic things that we can do nowadays. So let's put one of the authors in the Bible up, right? So let's say, I don't know, let's go with Matthew.
Sure.
No, Mark. Mark is the older one, right?
Mark is the oldest of the four.
Okay, let's go with Mark. So I put the book of Mark on the stand. Okay. Do we know who its author is?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
Well, it's okay. Even if we did know the author of that one, there are definitely plenty of books in the Bible who we don't know the author, right?
But do you not think the people ask these people about Jesus and about what they saw and about what he did before they actually wrote it down?
No, that's a wonderful question, and I'm happy to go to it. But I just want to finish out your analogy first. Well, hold on, Derek. I want to finish out your analogy first because I think that's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we go into court and I hand in a testimony by someone who we don't know who authored it, and we have no way of checking the facts of it. Do you think we would be justified in convicting somebody to go to jail off of an anonymous letter that's unverifiable,
that happens
untestable?
all the time. Innocent people are always in jail. Innocent people are put
Hold on.
to death
No, wait,
well.
Derek. Answer my question, because that is a really good way to not answer the question. You just sidestepped that. Let's try that again. Derek, on the evidence of an anonymous letter that is not verifiable, do you think it is justified? Do you think we would be justified in convicting somebody?
No.
I agree with you. So let's move forward. I'm happy that we're going to move forward. I will say that the statement you made about us having just as much evidence as we would have nowadays in 2020 has thoroughly been debunked, because we have just applied the same methodology we would to today as we would to that biblical narrative. So no, if anybody has told you that,
I'm not talking about the evidence. I'm talking about the witnesses themselves.
Well, first you need access to the witness, don't you? I mean, first you need access to the witness, don't you?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. People had access to these witnesses in the Bible. How do you think their story got told?
Got it. Fantastic. How do you think stories about any mythological deities get told? Just because it's written down doesn't mean it's true. I mean, if that's the case, then the Book of Eric is true because it's written down. How do you tell the difference between those things? How do you decipher what is true and what isn't true based off? Well, so if you just believe in the New Testament, can I ask you a couple questions? Because that's a really interesting viewpoint. Mm-hmm. So if you believe in the New Testament, I'm sure you believe that Jesus died on the cross, right?
I know where you're going with this, and I know the only part that atheists don't believe in about Jesus is the miracle part.
Actually, that's not even where I'm going with this, because that's a standard line that.
You don't have a problem that he actually was a real person and he actually said the things that he said. It's just the miracle part, right?
Well, again, yes, but Derek, your viewpoint is kind of a unique one that I want to explore. That's one of the things that I love about this show is we can engage with you and not just go on, the regular tired tropes and lines. Right. Derek, what confuses me?
I don't don't mean to keep interrupting you guys, but
That's
I mean,
okay.
I watch the Atheist Experience too, and Matt does the same thing, so we won't
No worries,
on and then
Derek.
backtrack. You know what I mean? But I apologize for interrupting you guys, and
Derek, there's a delay in the line.
But, yeah.
No, that's okay, Derek. There's a delay in the line, and yeah, Derek, there's a delay in the line, and that's part of charitable listening. We are anticipating that you are an honest interlocutor, and so we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. That's just how it is. So, question for you: if you don't believe in the Old Testament, then what did Jesus die for in the first place?
He died for our sins.
Hold on. The entire bit about sins being on people, the entire bit about needing sacrifice for sin, and all of the supposed prophecies about a coming savior are in the Old Testament. If you cut out the entire Old Testament, then what did Jesus die for?
Okay, I don't think you guys are understanding me quite well, and I think that's my fault, because maybe I can explain it better. But I believe everything that Jesus said in the Bible, and I believe in Jesus. Not anybody's else perspective, but the words of Jesus himself.
Understood. Now, that said, if you're just talking about the words in a story, there are a lot of good words and a lot of stories. And if you're just talking about that, then it's kind of taken so out of context that I don't know if that stands on its own. I recommend that you look into that, because there are things that are claimed, that Jesus claims, that are references to things that you're saying you don't believe in. And I don't think that holds.
Right. Whenever Jesus says, as it was written, he is referencing the Old Testament.
When when they're referencing the law, when he says, I've not come to change the law, he's talking about the Mosaic laws as laid out in the Old Testament.
Right.
I've never thought of that before. Like I said,
no worries. It might be interesting to look into, because I'd love to hear your take on it later.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, explore it and see and we'd love to see what you think.
Can I ask you guys about evolution?
Sure. We're not scientists professionally. We're lay people, but we can do our best. What's up?
Evolution just has a lot of holes in its story.
Well, I'm glad that you are approaching this skeptically.
Well, evolution says that we came from monkeys, but yet there's like a million or thousands of monkeys all around the world still. So, I mean, are their brains just slower than ours, and their brains haven't caught up yet? Well,
so actually, that's a really wow. I haven't heard we came from monkeys in a long time. I would look back into evolution and what is actually described in evolution. So nobody said we came from monkeys, first off. I can tell you that right away. When we're talking about evolution, let me see if I can maybe do this really, really quickly. Derek, I'm going to run you through a quick scenario and see if we can get through this thought experiment, okay?
Okay.
Okay, cool. So let's say there is a species of birds who are in a jungle, and at some point, several of them get cut off geographically. Maybe there's a large mountain range. Maybe they're on different islands now. Okay. Over time, the ones who are able to adapt to their environment, maybe the ones with stronger beaks who are able to break into shells and things like that, that are beneficial to them on one island, are not necessarily beneficial to them on the other. So slowly, over hundreds of, just geological time, those things change. They change and change and change and change until they wind up becoming very different looking birds. Now, that doesn't mean they're different species. They're different species when they can no longer procreate together, when they have sex and there is no viable genetic offspring, right? That is speciation. And so that is all evolution is it is that slow change over time as we adapt to our environment. And so when we talk about monkeys, the reason monkeys get brought in is because our species, changed. And if we go way, way, way back, further than I think I think further than any humans can realistically comprehend, there was a common ancestor that's no longer around, right? I mean, it's the same way as saying dogs came from wolves, so why are there still wolves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you agree that civilization had to start somewhere?
I think it's a very slow process. I mean, if that's the case, if we're looking at it that way, then what is a civilization? You can take that all the way down to maybe a small tribe.
I asked you this question because scientists say that the first human species were in Africa. So if the first human species started in Africa, a civilization had to have been built on Africa, or else they wouldn't be able to cross the water. So why ain't Africa the richest country in the world right now?
Well, that's a whole conversation.
Yeah, that's a socio-political thing. But if you really want to look into it, I'd look into the Fertile Crescent. Take a look at the history of that region, and you're going to find a lot of incredibly early civilizations that were built around that time. That is a fascinating subject.
It is absolutely amazing. One book to maybe read if you're super into learning about how civilizations were constructed before the biblical stories kind of got started is When God Was a Woman by Merlin Stone. Talks a lot about the African civilizations that were built prior to 3000 BCE, which is when the whole concept of the more Judeo-Christian monotheistic war god kind of came into play. So yeah, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of years of history that we just don't have access to because it got lost. But there have been civilizations, there have been structures of worship and structures of trade and discovering of agriculture and of writing and of mathematics, all in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just because right now that part of the world has been subject to massive exploitation does not mean that is not where all of these things kind of started originating.
Yeah, it just, I mean, just to point you in a direction, when you say scientists say, in this subject, you would be saying anthropologists. Mm-hmm. And I look into anthropology. It's interesting.
Well, maybe archaeologist was like a better word to use for that because they study that type of stuff.
Well, archaeologists, they're different things. You're talking about societies, and those are different subjects. But that said, Derek, this has been a really fun call.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear what you think once you start kind of exploring the whole New Testament sans Old Testament, or just the,
Well, just one quick thing before I let you guys off the phone here. You guys want evidence that God exists, right?
I mean, we would love that.
That is what the show's about. Yes.
Okay. So, if you may, I would like to give a prophetic word that God has given me.
Oh.
And you guys can save it, and then when it happens, you can see that it was a word from God.
Sure. So before you do that, let's make sure that we
right on the nail, and I will call back in November.
Okay, Derek.
Yes.
So first things first, how do we tell the difference between your prophecy and a faker's prophecy?
Okay, because listen, I know it's all just speculation until that day comes, but...
No. Well, hold on. Derek, there are people who actually make their living making hundreds and hundreds of prophecies. I mean, just ridiculous amounts of them, record them, and then anything that just so happens to have come true, they go, oh, see, here's my prophecy. And so we look at that and we go, you know what? Those are charlatans. Those are people who are taking advantage of others. There's an entire psychic fails compilation on my roommate Holy Kool-Aid's channel. And so what I'm asking you is, how do we tell the difference between your prophecy and someone else's? A real prophecy and a fake one.
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you because I'd say the prophecy that God gave me, and I will hit it nail on nail where everything's going to happen. And if you save it, and then like later on when that day comes and it happens, it's going to be nail to nail with what I just said. And if you allow that, if it don't come true, then I'm the one who looks like an idiot. You just gain more followers.
No, in fact, I don't want followers because you look like an idiot. That is not the point of the show. I don't want you to look like an idiot. Derek, I want to give you the tools so that you can understand the world around you better. And I don't want someone looking dumb or having egg on their face. I don't give a damn about people's egos. I don't give a damn about, feeling disrespected or I was talking to somebody and the response was, "Are you calling me a liar?" I don't care. Just be true. Let's talk about true things. So help me, Derek. If someone can give a prophecy that comes true, let's say I have 2 prophecies that came true, and one of them is from a prophet and the other is from a charlatan. How do I tell the difference?
By the prophecy that person said, and by
They're the
comparison
same.
to what actually happened that day.
Okay, so if I make a couple hundred guesses and one of those things come true, does that make me a prophet?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Let's say I spent the next 2 weeks writing down every possible thing that I can imagine is going to happen in the future, both mundane and incredibly specific. One of those hundreds and hundreds of things comes true. Does that make me a prophet? Maybe there's going to be an earthquake in California. Maybe there's going to be a hurricane in the South.
Yeah, it don't. If you predicted 100 things, only 1 out of the 100 came true.
Got it. So how do I know how many you've given? Well, actually, what do you think? Do you want him to give us his prophetic word?
I think we should give. I mean, we asked what was her name to take it to
Tawana the witch.
Yeah, so
that's fair. Yeah. What's your prophecy?
I'm writing it down on my phone.
All right.
So we've got.
Just let me finish it before you guys reply. Okay, so God showed me in a dream that Russian soldiers were commanding Chinese soldiers to go into people's houses in Washington, D.C. and kill a bunch of people, and they was all wearing UN hats, and Trump was nowhere to be found. And
okay.
Well, I hope that last part's true, at least.
Let me finish.
There's more?
Come through the clouds, and he slammed on the calendar, and it said November 2020. So this will happen in November, and I will call back on November, and when everything I said nail to nail is true, then you guys will have your proof that God exists.
No, we would have a proof that you gave a prophecy.
Yeah, you could be.
Okay, but if I got it 100% correct, what does that tell you? You think I just made that up?
I mean, you could have. That's why I asked you how we can. That's why I asked you how we tell the difference. But you know what? That's enough.
Well,
Let's go from there, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else. Mark your calendars. In November, Derek is going to call back. Sound good, Derek?
Yeah, I will call back in November. November, and when you see Russian soldiers and ordering around Chinese soldiers with UN hats, and the president and no leadership in America was to be found, then hopefully I can call in. I don't know if you guys probably have the shit, but anyway, that's the whole difference. I know it's just all
Sounds good.
speculation till then, but I'll call.
All right.